Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of One Single Story, where each weekday we offer a brief lesson from a section of today's reading in the One Year Bible. My name's Stephen Mizell, and Jay Rivenbark and I are joined today by Wendy Korbusieski. And we are in the book of Proverbs this week, chapter 10, verse 26, and we're talking about laziness and responsibility, and how troubling laziness is and how difficult it is for people who have to work with them. What diligence is, reliability, faithfulness, and how we can cultivate those practices in our life. So I hope you grab your Bible and a pen and paper, and let's have a conversation around the Word of God. Hey everyone, it's March the 5th, and we're in the book of Proverbs this week, verse 26, and we're going to talk about laziness and responsibility. So the verse says, lazy people irritate their employers like vinegar to the teeth or smoke to the eyes. So just the whole challenge of laziness is what this is about, and reliability. Is there any insight outside of the questions that maybe you wanted to
I've got to thinking about vinegar and the smoke analogy. And do you still take that shot of vinegar? Mm-hmm. And I tried to once. Oh my gosh. And it just gives you this all the way down. Yeah. It's like, if the way I'm performing makes my employer do that, or if I'm a child and my behavior makes my parent do that, how awful. You don't want to be the person who makes somebody feel that. And the same thing with, smoke in your eyes. If you ever been at a fire and the wind changes and it comes your direction, you're doing whatever you got to do to get out of there. Mm-hmm. To think that my behavior could make somebody feel that way is sobering. I don't want to be that person.
That laziness is such an irritant in so many ways, but also it reveals so much about a person's character. Because laziness in one area probably is insightful to other areas or applications of one's life.
Yeah, I would agree. I do take vinegar every day. I take 2.
Gives me the shiver right now just thinking about it.
I started out with Bragg's with the mother. That's what they say. Mm-hmm. And Kirkland, I can buy 3 giant bottles in Kirkland now. But it's still the same thing.
The straight vinegar, apple cider vinegar?
It's just apple cider vinegar with the mother,
What's the supposedly benefits to it?
The reason I started was for acid reflux.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard the application for.
Okay.
The studies right now that everybody's leaning into is if you take just a tablespoon before you eat, it will reduce your insulin spike significantly. Okay. So your insulin resistance.
That may be because you're so close to throwing up that you're not going to eat much to get to sugar levels. Cause and effect.
So I take 2 tablespoons in the morning and 1 before I go to bed every night. Okay. And so it still make me shiver sometimes. Barbara can't do it. She's like, oh God, this is horrible.
But she drinks kombucha. I mean, we're getting off topic here. But that's the same thing. Oh Lord. Oh.
So how does our diligence honor God?
I think it reflects Him. You are working to reflect God's image, and that has to please Him. Because He's faithful, He's intentional, He's trustworthy, and it's you trying to model you and yourself after Him. That's always what He's after. I mean, that diligence becomes an act of worship to Him.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a reflection of part of His character, of who He is. And then I think about specific applications of diligence and how it honors God, such as in a marriage relationship. That if you're faithful and diligent, even if you've gone through challenges and difficulties and storms, that is still God honoring. And, places in your career and in ministry, that if you just stay with it and diligent, and continue to grow and develop and be obedient, how that honors Him. And so I think it spills over into pretty much every facet of our life, that diligence in turn honors God in that way.
Yeah. somebody was joking on me about this the other day, but when I talk about giving, almost invariably what I'll say is, I give, I expect you to give. I say that in Growth Track. Mm-hmm. I give, I expect you to give. And that's really my spiel. I mean, I can give you a long spiel about why you should, but I give, I expect you to give. God works. He expects us to work. Mm-hmm. The entirety of Scripture starts on this predication. On day one, God worked, right? And the interesting thing is, he worked 6 days, not 5.
Yeah.
You know,
there won't no weekend.
No, a weekend is a made up thing to try to balance Christians and Jews. You know, because the Christians took Sundays off, right. The Jews took Saturdays off. They're like, okay, let's make them both happy. We're going to have a 5-day work week. When in reality, and I hear people say frequently, you know, gosh, they're cutting into my weekend. Well, that's just a myth anyway. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't rest, but if you want to know what the Bible has to say, it's a 6th day and on the 7th day you rest, you know. But God works, we should. That's, I mean, that's kind of how I see it. And I think that our work is worship anyway. I mean, we can do everything as unto the Lord. And when we are lazy, I don't think it's a reflection of God, but you know, that you mentioned earlier, you didn't want to give your employer the shivers. I believe that may be my number one pet peeve. I'll say frequently, I'd rather say
that and integrity. Are at the top of your list. Yes. I would believe. Having worked for you for that for so long,
you know, like I don't want to have to kick you to get you to work. I mean, I would rather somebody be out doing. I mean, there's an example I want to use. I want to be very, very careful how. Like, so we have a relatively new manager at the church cafe. Man, she is trying everything. Like,
ain't afraid of nothing.
No,
she's just
trying everything. And sometimes that's hard to keep up with, and sometimes you got to, you know, figure out how to rein it in. But that's a much better problem to have than, can I close tomorrow?
Do something.
You know,
do something.
I need to be off because my child, you know, won't get home till 3:30, and I need to close at 12 so that I can drive 15 minutes to pick them up. Whatever, you know, all of those things. It's an opposite problem to have. And if I've got to have one, I'd rather figure out how to rein you in than I had to kick you along, because it's extremely frustrating. I mean, it's just horribly frustrating. And I don't think it's honoring to God when we don't treat it as worship. So why is reliability important?
Reliability is one of the things that builds trust. And trust always impacts relationships. So just having that as a pattern for who you are makes you more trustworthy and able to be invited into a lot more opportunities. Have you ever worked on like a group project where like several of you were assigned pieces of the project, but it was all supposed to come together to do one thing? I hated those because I knew I could rely on myself, and I had to depend on other people. And sometimes you got paired with, because teachers would do this all the time. They're going to pair the one that they know is going to.
They were trying to grade on the curve, get you to bring
somebody
their average
who's
out.
not going to do good, and they get stuck in your group, and that unreliability, that laziness, it affects not just you. It's not just a choice for you. It affects a lot of people. It affects everybody in a work environment. Your laziness, your unreliability rather, affects all your coworkers, not just you and your job performance. It affects the whole company.
I was doing a staff review recently, and one thing that one staff member said was, because I'll ask, you know, what's your greatest frustration, you know? And one of the things they said was, when I'm waiting on somebody else to do something they need to do so that I can do what I need to do, because then it reflects on me because what I need to do isn't been done, but I can't do it until they get it done.
To me, reliability and laziness, they go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be very reliable if you're a lazy person in any facet. So they're connected. And again, they reveal character about a person. And I made note in Luke 16, it was Jesus said, if you are faithful or reliable in little things, you'll be faithful in large ones, which indicate to me that a working, diligent, reliable person gets entrusted with more and more. And the way to advance, to be honored, sometimes you see it in the world, but it's a scriptural principle, is to be reliable and faithful in what you already have been assigned or asked to do. And then there are benefits that follow it.
Well, there's an old saying to the effect of, if you want to get something done, find somebody who's already got more than they can do.
Yeah.
And because they're already doing it.
It reveals who they are and they're going to make it happen.
And you know that. And so we haven't gotten there yet, but as we record this, we're getting ready to have a retreat. And one of the things that we're going to do is have an encouragement circle, as we go. And I've been trying to make some notes. What, do I appreciate about different people? One of the things that was a common theme, and I is the people that stick here are reliable, right? You can count on them. They're going to show up. They're going to do the work. It may not always be what you want. They may aggravate the out of you because I aggravate people. I've got my own, traits that are annoying. But you can depend on them to show up day after day, week after week, year after year. And if they don't like being reliable, either they will leave or they will be encouraged to leave. One of the two. And I think that was one of the common themes that I could see. Like, I don't have to, because I'm not a micromanager, and if I don't know what I would do if I had a team full of people that needed me to check on them every day.
You wouldn't have that team.
I would be committed somewhere, most likely. Or we would be doing my funeral, or I'd be doing something else. I don't know what. Because it does matter. I mean, you want to be able to depend on people.
Sure.
And I think it's important to attract those kind of people. So what habits then promote faithfulness?
Consistency. You're finishing the things that you start. Managing your time well. Honoring your commitments. It's those little everyday things that build those patterns in your life. Those kind of things are really impactful to the people you're in relationship with, whether it be family or coworkers or whatnot. Just those small things make the biggest difference.
Yeah, I made some notes here. What promotes faithfulness? The first thing I put on my list was punctuality. That being able to show up on time, it to me is a great starting point. I think there's some insight. I have some folks in my life that I love dearly, that I know they love me, but you can't count on them to be punctual for
on time.
Anything. I don't care what it is. And that in and of itself creates all kinds of dilemmas and issues. So punctuality was one. Self-awareness, to be aware of your role in this responsibility, and what you're doing. You mentioned, and it's here, management, time management, including in that. Follow through, I think, is extremely important as relates to faithfulness, because to begin something and not finish it, what value is it in there? I said, if you say it, then do it. I want to be known as the person, even if I don't want to, even if I don't like it, even if I've voiced a different opinion about it. But when I say I'm going to do it, you can turn around and walk away and know it's going to get done and done well, or at least to the best of my ability. I think all of those habits and others, but over and over and over and over again, promote faithfulness.
One of the things I've written down that y'all didn't mention would be planning.
Mm-hmm.
Like financially.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't plan, right, you're not going to be able to be faithful in your obligations. You're constantly going to have places where you are tripped up because you hadn't planned,
right.
And then the other one that you guys didn't mention, and all of those, I think all of them are true, is accountability. There has to be some accountability. I think it promotes faithfulness when you, excuse me, when someone, nobody's perfect, but when they're confronted about it or when they recognize it, they own it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's some, you go, okay.
Yeah.
They're self-reflective, self-awareness is, like, gosh,
paramount.
One of the greatest gifts you can ever have. And, so I think both of those things promote faithfulness. And, overarchingly, discipline is the thing that ties all of that together. Just the consistency, the discipline to do the right things. Thank you for joining us again today on One Single Story. Just remember, how you work reveals who you worship. I hope you'll join us again on the next edition of One Single Story.